So, hello everyone, it's time for Beastars episode 10, season 2, right? We're getting into... I mean, we kind of know what's happening. I know who the bad guy is, kind of. We had a Batman, Superman, no, we had a vigilante, Wolfman, as I should probably call him, right? We had Wolfman being, fighting the lion and so on. And I think it was a little cheap, honestly. I used to start this video on a bad note. No, but I felt it was a little cheap. That we see, Legas is like, I'm a super, I'm one with the, my mitochondrial level, right? Yeah, he's like amazing vigilante martial arts now, right? Which is like whatever, fine. The pandas trained him. But, and of course later we do see him basically defeat all the lions, right? By himself. So, it's like a really good fighter and all that stuff. But what I didn't like, and of course I did that reaction, and also that review, is just how did they capture him, right? Like, that felt kind of lazy. It was like, oh, we see one of the lions spotting him, defeating these guys on the street, right? And then next time we see Legacy, he's just captured. And it's like, okay. And then of course later on in the episode, he beats them all, right? He beats like all the lions by himself, basically. So it's like, how did that one lion guy defeat him? Did he like, did he get him in the back? I guess he can ambush him. I mean, you can see that. But I think, there was like no scene showing that. He's captured, right? It was like, that could have been better explained. Because it kind of goes back in the context of him then defeating all of them, right? If he couldn't defeat them in a fight, this lion guy would be one thing, but he could beat all of them by himself on the same time. So yeah, like a massive, like a really vigilant superhero guy. So it's a little bit like, because I mean, imagine, I know this is like a bad example, I suppose, but imagine, him being actually being Batman. Sure, Batman gets captured a lot by the Joker and so on, certainly, but very rare that you see Batman being, ambushed by just like walking home or something, like, Bruce Wayne, and being captured. So it happens, but it's very rare, right? And it happens in bad superhero, bad guys, whatever, right there. It's very, very uncommon, right? It's very rare that you see, if anything, what happens, like saying Spider-Man and so on, if anything, when it happens, it's usually the hero's alter ego, right? The hero's, so to speak, Bruce Wayne or Peter Parker and so on, those kind of characters get captured, right? And then they can't show their powers because then it will be exposed. That's probably the more classic trope, I guess, for superheroes, that they get captured in their normal outfit, right? But Legas doesn't have like a Wolfman outfit on him, so but whatever. Let's watch the episode. 3, 2, 1, and go. But I felt it was a little bit like, oh, he's just there. What happened to his like super martial art, senses that he's like, I can smell everything, I can feel. That's thing too, because he can like smell the ambush guy and so on, right? And he felt embarrassed that he was, ambushed by possibly the beard and the kuma, obviously, but I guess we don't know exactly it was him yet, even though it's like obviously him. Now I mean we know that of course Kuma, is the murderer, but the kidnap scene with Legacy. Maybe I don't think they actually truly confirmed that he was kidnapped, even though it's like super obvious. But I mean, sorry, my nose. Oh, no. Live reactions. Oh, sorry. I got a massive sneeze. It will come soon there. Can't speak because I got a massive sneeze coming. Whatever. Point was just that he felt embarrassed, right? That he got like taken by the Kuma, right? And again, I don't really feel like the Kuma. I mean, Legacy clearly knows it's him, but it was never truly confirmed, right, that he actually knows he was kidnapped. But whatever, it's clearly him. And then the panda trains him, right, to be this martial artist, super Wolfman, and then he still gets captured, right? You see what I mean? But he got captured anyway. Like he basically still lost out what he felt most embarrassed about. That the Kuma managed to like sneak up on him like a ninja, right? That was kind of the start of his embarrassment, right? I have to become a stronger person and becoming one with my martial art and so on. Yeah, so that still happened off screen. But anyway, I'm just saying, it's like, they happen anyway. I guess it's a Kuma, there was a kind of tomato. I think it's a Kuma. I haven't seen his face yet, but yeah. Oh, it's like a beer family. It's all the different beers, I guess. Yeah. Look at this innocent man. He's chilling out, eat some tomato to his friends. Yeah. It's gonna be an episode where like we see the Kuma's lifestyle. He's like, oh, I'm a nice guy. Some curry, Itadakimasu! Yeah, and you're like, oh my god, you're great, best bro ever, man! He's like, if I have some meat in this curry, then it will be good curry. Yeah, I'm like, this curry is good, but where's the meat, right? Hey guys, but if we add some real ingredients to this stuff, this boring tomatoes, right? Look at that big tomato. That's really uninteresting for him. Oh man. Oh yeah, there. Tomato juice. I'm laughing at it, but that's a good. I would say that's a good. What is it called? An illusion. Oh my god, my word. I'm tired of today. Alluding, I guess. Alluding, yeah. Like to see the tomato juice, and it's like, oh yeah, tomato juice. Instead, of course, something more tasty, right? Yeah, this scene must think it's sad when you saw it, if it's actually... Yeah. It's best friend. But I'm here at that tomato juice. He's like, tomato juice. So, like, like, it looks really morbid. It's like comedy. Yeah, it's like comedically morbid. It's like, yeah. And it's like Legacy knows, right? Stupid Wolfman. Goddamn vigilante hero guy. And the other guys, they love the curry. So this is the issue, right? You taste the meat, well, you can't ever go back, right? Probably though, there is probably an issue for these people, right? We haven't really talked about too much in this anime, but I would say it's probably is like an issue for them all, right? If he's eating that, the juicy meat, right? And now he's like, oh man, I need to eat some more meat, right? Where the other kumas, they're kind of like, oh whatever, right? They, like tomatoes, curry, it's great. They don't really care, I think. But I think he cares a lot more about, the whole dream of, again, then, eating some sheep or goat or whatever, right, in that sense, because he's eating that, the taste, right, so he's like, need some more, right, probably, that's probably an issue they all have after tasted that stuff, if they only live through eating, tomatoes, probably with pan, right, this is Haru's hand, I guess, it has to be, right, imagining Haru, maybe it is Haru, she's sneaking in there, Haru, she's like, hey, give me boy, yeah, of course this Haru actually coming in there and being like, hey, when he's like meditating. Look at his mask behind him, he has to be like, whoa, they're really dating. He's like, they are definitely doing it. So everyone's like, whoa, they're clearly a couple. Wag your tail again. Oh, that was good at that episode when he couldn't, control his tail there. It's like, senpai! Senpai! It was like... So was it last time? I mean, well, at this place, I was kissed her, right? And that went kinda meh. It didn't really go out well for him. Let's see how if he can get some love this time. Ooh, senpai? Thinking about the he took his and like, do you think about senpai? Right? So that was like, I guess he was right. She don't think about senpai. God damn it. Ooh, Daisuke. Really? Hotto! For poor man. Hotto! Hotto! Really? You're not saying that? I was in the tail wagging again. That's good with that wolf boyfriend, because you know he's happy, You see his wolf wagging, so he's like responding to your love. He's like, I love you, and then the tail's like, yeah, yeah. So he's actually, he's happy, right? He's like, whoa, yeah. It's like, you can't really lie that wolf very good. But now he, with the broke him there. Look at the tail now. I was like, ugh, I guess this again. Poor Wolfman. That is awkward. This is getting awkward. It's always like, ugh. It's about senpai again. It's like, ugh. Yeah, the poor man is like, okay, I guess I didn't really win anyway. Yeah. Yeah, about that. Him and his lion guys. Tiny little girlfriend. No, I wonder if he's gonna, deal with this. Or if he's just gonna be like, okay. Oh man, he's so pretty. Man, this guy is such a goddamn. He's like, oh, pretty horn you got. He's just like a sharp. It's always like he's always flirting with everyone. Ah, what a horn. It's like Corey's like, hey girl, yeah, come on. This Corey's Aaron. He's more of a melodious than an Aaron, definitely. He's more of that etchy melodious. Oh yes, what a beautiful horn you have. You're so goddamn ambitioner. That's right. Ooh. Man, you could turn down here. This is about players. She's like, I never heard about you. Do you get know about you, man? You tried to get with every girl, yeah. You did all my girlfriends, yeah, like all my sisters. But like, come on, he's definitely that kind of guy. He's like, you damn player. And now he was gonna fix his hair after, his fur afterwards. Like, come on, man, this guy is so. It's like sparkling blue eyes, right? He got out of this. Oh man, it's like a fight clip so now. Maybe the bears will eat him. Ooh man, you know that the Kuma guy likes to taste stuff, so. Oh man. Yeah, have you seen the wolf guys? Like, WOLFMAN, superhero? I'm like his sidekick, so please don't kill me. Yeah, and I was like, I'm the sidekick of the hero, so don't kill me, man. A tense moment here. This reminds me of a life story happened to me. I can talk about after the episode. It happened to me in college. I can talk about it quickly afterwards. Actually, yeah, kind of similar. Yeah, I had a guy threatening me in a way, but yeah. Whoa. Is he sucking on it? Or is it... What? I mean, he might kill him, right? But that's like a weird thing to. It's like, is he bite? It feels like he's more sucking more than biting it. He's not screaming, right? In that like pain sense. Yeah, he wasn't like, if you actually bite him, I think it would be screaming more. Now it was a shocked face. Yeah, no red stuff, no tomato juice. I guess like a threat there. Yeah, my finger. Well, maybe you can go to the cops or the principal or something. I mean, even earlier, it's a little silly. I think I was in this kind of storylines where they're like, oh, I know my classmate is a murderer, but I won't tell anyone. Maybe, maybe not the classmate, but I won't tell like the sensei or, the principal or the police, right? It's just like, yeah, okay, that thing is kind of silly there. Okay, not have a stare down. But like, I mean, here he could have gone and told someone. At least that if someone kills me, this is the guy. Like I've told that to my brother once. Like if someone kills me this year, this is the person. Yeah, am I the only guy being like, hey, to my family, if someone murders me this year, this is probably the likely candidate. Tell the cop this guy, did this thing. Yeah, like this is the guy I told with. Yeah, It's gonna do some theater speech here, which might implies the bad guy. Now it's just a very powerful performance. Exactly. They're like, yes, he's clearly okay. It's just a performance. What? No, I'm just acting. I'm not afraid of that guy over there trying to kill me or something. No. You don't need to give me your weapon there so I can defend myself. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, you saw that? Because it provokes him instead. That's the solution to do it, yeah. This guy's like, I'm gonna eat you. You're like, I will provoke him. That's a great strategy. Be like, hey, you saw that? Yeah, okay. Okay, so back to the lions. I mean, clearly the Pompadour lion was the best hairstyle. So, I mean, yeah. If I wasn't this kind of guy, I would have the Pompadour. I would go full Pompadour, man. I would be like, you know, I would go I would definitely have a Pompadour. Absolutely right. I'd be a badass Pompadour guy. Absolutely. That would have bikes. Definitely have a Pompadour. Probably a city white Pompadour like Beelzebub. You know, yeah, he'd be like, like a massive Pompadour, all the hair. I mean, I kind of want to have one now, right? Like, man, maybe the Pompadour would be awesome. What if I was like 12 again? Definitely. It's like, come on, man. Because now you're talking about what happened. At least it is Legas that he went for my finger. Oh, like a challenge letter, maybe. Here we go. Yeah, challenge letter, here we go. So finally have to... He got ambushed again! This is his weakness, man! You learn to be like the Wolfman fighter, but you can he always get ambushed. Like, this is apparently not a plot thing that they got him last week. It's lions, but again he got ambushed. So this is clearly what he hasn't mastered, to defend himself from ambushes. He's clearly weak against the ninjas. That's his weakness, yeah, ninja bears. Man, he's really weak against that. Ninja kumas. Okay, here we go. Wolf versus bear. So he needs his honey. Nice. Yeah, gets his honey. No! Not my honey, the only thing that makes him sane! He's gonna go berserk now. Yeah, here we go. It's gonna go primal on him, right? Takes his honey, man. I feel just put on the ground. I would be like, yeah, bring it on the ground. Yeah, I would be like, just sit on the ground for him. Like, yeah, you want this? Okay, nice. Legas takes his clothes. Like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm okay. I like it. He's immediately he's also his clothes. I like it. He's like, yeah, very martial art feel to it. But here we go. I mean, he's been training, right? He's been turning into Wolfman. He's been beating lions and people on the street, right? He's been fighting, you know, everyone, panthers and shit on the tigers, and he's been doing everything, right? He's been going through the whole zoo of enemies. Okay, gotta get us a really tomato episode. But he's a bigger animal. Could have trained him with a weapon, I don't know. Give him a sword or something. Actually feels kinda silly how he managed to defeat like 10 lions with guns. Guns too! He defeated like 10 lions, right? A dozen of lions with guns. Like armed lions. But he can't defeat one kuma with like not weapons? It's a little bit like... It's very Fight Club now. It's like, look at the mirror here, man. Ooh, oh man, now we get maybe the big Scar at least. Yeah, it's like, he was my best friend. It's like, yeah, I don't know about that then. I mean, he's very muscular though. Like, I give him that. He's very abbed, and I give him that though, Kuma. He's very muscular, but oh, that kicks him in the. I know that's the best defense against the biting, but that's a nice touch to it. The mirror in the background here. Oh, it's like an. Oh man, it's a cute little old lady. It's like, oh, someone in there. Oh yes, we're just having a little bromance. Ah, chokar I. Little nice little lady. Yeah, it's like, oh, you know, just an old lady. Let's keep fighting. And now they're like, I don't think to turn away his face away from him, because now it's silly. He's like, yeah, you're right. We're not to fight. I feel it's probably kill each other more now. Man, they have a weird shit. No, they're just like, yeah, you know what? Let's just not fight anymore. Maybe not. Maybe. Yeah, but like when you trust this person for a second, right? Exactly. It's like one gonna turn around and fight, right? Yeah. Like when you trust other person, like, no, I'm gonna kill you as soon as you turn around, right? Okay, and he kinda, let's take it to a small place. It depends, like, oh, so you lost again? Loser! It depends, like, you're useless disciple of mine. Why can you never defeat people? Yeah, like, I mean, he beat the lions! I have to say, it was a cool fight, but from a storyline perspective, it really felt a little bit like the pal here is like, man, how can you against that guy? You're a freaking loser, man. Gotta train harder, boy. It does feel a little bit very, you know, very narrative driven, right? It's very typical anime law, where it's like if you're fighting against 1,000 people, right? They have one gun each. You're a single person. They're all gonna miss you, right? It's like, you know, law of occurrency decreases per enemy, right? Yeah, per them, right? If it's 10 people, they might hit you, probably not. But if it's one of them, that guy's gonna be like a bam, bam, bam. It's gonna be really hard, right? Yeah. We have this anime law, yeah. Like in a game I made a few years ago, we had a character, one of the heroes. He had a power main character, and it was like the less enemies surrounding you, the less good this power is. Yeah, the passive of his passive avoidance. Basically, I had this hero in my game, and I was very based on this kind of concept of the more enemies he was surrounded by, you know, the stronger his evasion got, right? Yeah, so you know, you wanted to be surrounded by enemies, but then you had perfect evasion. But if you only had like one enemy next to you, the power didn't work, and I call it main character. Passive, you know, main character. It could be called plot armor, I suppose too, but I felt more like he's a main character. He has that, you know, the ability to be like, he only works when he's alone, right? Against one person. Especially against more people. I mean, the fight was cool, but from a contextual story point, it definitely feels to be like, well, how could he defeat all the lions? How could he beat all like this, like, you know, the professional organized lion guy with guns, but he can't beat this like one teenage Kuma guy? It's like, what? I'm sorry, but I have a hard time grasping that. I mean, sure, the Kuma is really big. It's one of the bigger animals here. He's bigger than the lion guy I've seen in the ending as well. Of course, he's bigger than them, but they're more like, you know, you would expect them to be more trained, right? Like they would actually be more That's one thing too. I think it's more important though, because even if you're a big guy like me, you know, big muscular guy right now, but like I'm a pretty big guy. I'm not like super tall, but I'm pretty tall, and I'm especially my shoulders not pretty big, right? So yeah, I'm a pretty big. I don't know. I'm big in that sense, right? Big in that way, right? So anyway, like if I. No, of course I am quite well trained though, but I mean I'm quite experienced in actual martial art and so on, right? That's very martial art for most of my life. But that's kind of what I mean, right? Like I'm just imagining these lion guys that they are like some, they're trained, they have the experience, and also they have, of course, just the general concept, right, of being, in fights, right, and having less of how I say it, they're more cruel, right? These more win and finish off, right? Yeah, they're more used to that kind of stuff, right? Taking care of business speak, right? Than this random kuma guy will be. He's more like a berserk guy, right? So it's a little bit like that. So it really feels like Legacy should have a much harder time beating even one of the lions, because the lion guys aren't that tiny and they are possibly professionals, right? But anyway, okay, fine. Maybe the kuma is just so much bigger and more muscular. Even if it's like a theater guy, so I don't want to be bad trained for whatever, yeah. But anyway, no, but I mean, like the Lions guys too should have a lot more, actual fighting martial art experience, right? Just like Togashi should have a lot more fighting experience, like the whole arc has been him training, right? The Kuma guy is sitting at home with tomatoes, so doing honey. So I don't know how he's been fight, right? He's just fighting on instinct, right? Where Legas supposed to be this like vigilante hero now, basically, right? And he could defeat the somewhat well-trained lion guys, right? The criminal lions. But here comes this random Kuma guy, and he's better than them, all of them. Like he's a worse opponent for Legacy than like a dozen lions that are all well-trained and heavily experienced in this kind of action, right? So it feels, I mean the fight is good, but I have to say the fight looks cool. It's really well animated, of course. Orange, very good animation. Love that mirror scene when he cracks the mirror behind him, you see the reflection. So I mean, it's a well animated fight, right? As always, like Orange, Hoshiku's fellow, very well animated, very beautiful fight. But honestly, from my perspective, right? From the storyline perspective of power levels or whatever, it's shown an anime now. It's shown an anime, no, but from that aspect, it really is like, how can he not defeat this guy? And I think it actually, to me, it does bug me a little bit, right? I mean, yes, the fight's a little more emotional, it's a little more drama than fighting some random guys like the one and someone, right? Or people on the street. It's a little more like, this is a murderer, you gotta arrest him kind of way, like, in a kind of sense. It's a little more dramatic. But I do feel it's a little, it does irritate me in a sense too, right? That we have Legacy now, right? He's been training, we had his training arc, he's been going to the panda, he's been going to the street, right? He's been like cutting off his, fur, getting into like a new kind of more, this martial art kind of personality, right? Spent several episodes of training and fighting and so on, learning martial art, right? Did defeat the lions, of course, so that's already confirming he's way better fighter and so on, right? Beating the lions, and then he meets this Kuma guy that we know at least has trained nothing, right? He's like a big guy, hasn't been training at all, hasn't improved his, fighting ability at all. So this last encounter, right? And he still loses to him mostly, right? Yeah, they're at best he draws, it's best even, but it's more he loses to him, and that to me feels irritating because, and you can argue that Beastars is like, oh, Beastars is great because it's not trophy, it's not cliche and so on, right? It's not a hero, it's not a shonen anime, but it still feels a little bit like, nah, but come on, if you're gonna go the whole route of like, this guy goes to the panda and he trains with the panda for like a few weeks or a month or whatever, right? He goes the whole hero journey, right? He kinda cuts his fur, chases his personality, does the whole meat training, right? Do all the other stuff and so on. He does the whole all this like turning into the Batman, the Wolfman. He goes into the whole superhero journey, right? And then he still loses in the end to the bad guy. Like that is kind of weird. Yeah, it's like a draw at best, right? But still kind of lost, right? You know what I mean? It's kind of like seeing a hero movie. He defeats the lad case, right? The lion's big, and then he gets to the final boss, and the final boss is still too strong for him. He beats him. Yeah, I mean that happens every now and then with some other superheroes like Spider-Man. So it happens every now and then. But here it feels a little strange because like the boss guy here. Yeah, probably again I think the boss guy doesn't feel more intimidating than the lions, right? I mean, yes, one kuma beats one lion, right? I suppose, but it's a little bit like, but they have guns and shit, and they're more yeah, there are a lot of them. He fought like 12 of them or 10 or whatever. He fought like a dozen of them. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he beat one of them. He beat like, you know, all of them. So it feels a little bit like, how can this guy be stronger than him, right? Yeah, and, so, and at the same time as having the whole, he has to hear Journey, but then hear Journey just fails, right? I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay. Beastars, it's not very. It clearly doesn't follow the tropes, right? It's more, and that's just good. I mean, it's good in that sense that it doesn't follow the trope. That it is more, yeah. That it isn't so focused on that. That is good. That is good. But at the same time, if it's a little, you know, I kind of want to see him succeed, right? I think I can, maybe that's kind of, maybe, yeah, a little bit. I want to see him succeed, right? Especially after he whooped the ass of all the lions. I kind of like, okay, but if you could, you know, just defeat all the lions so easily, you kind of want to see him. Yeah, if you could defeat, I don't know. It's a little bit like that to me when he's like, nah, I don't know, man. I kind of want to see Lugasi win, right? Instead, they kind of just go for like a draw instead. It was funny though when the old lady appeared. Yeah, I mean, it's like a weird episode when the old lady appears, and the old lady is like, "What you doing, boys?" And he's like, "Oh, we're just, you know, boys, done show, hanging out, you know, yeah." You know, yeah, like, okay, and she's a tiny little, like, I don't know what she's like, a wombat or something, so kind of tiny little cute animal, and she's all like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, oh, that's good, tell me when you're done, and they're kind of breaking the walls and the floor, and he's like, no, we're just hanging out, you know, don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it, old lady. We just so that was fun. That was really fun. That was fun. Definitely. I mean, I like that. That was a nice touch to it. Definitely. So I don't want to say about, oh, this is all bad or whatever. That's not my point. But I just think it does feel a little bit like, yeah. I don't think it's all bad. I just think it's a little bit. It's like the end boss, right? Yeah, because he kind of fits Senpai. Yeah. So it's more like that, right? Like he's kind of the end boss, and then the guy say defeats everyone else, but he can't defeat this guy. And this guy, to me, again, right, comes off as, you know, weaker than. But I think it's just because I think a problem here, honestly, is that he comes off as. He definitely comes off as weaker, right, than the previous, you know, encounter, right, with, you know, Senpai and yeah, like Senpai and. Senpai and. You know what I mean, like Senpai and like, man, I'm tired now. Senpai and the lions, right? He meets them off, and he fights them, and wins, right? I know Aaron Pettis said earlier, but yeah, he fights them, and that's kind of like the second counter, or third counter, yeah. First counters are like random people on the street, you know, level up. They meet Senpai, the lions, wins them. Then he gets to this last boss guy, and he loses, which, you know, if something happens, and you don't have to hate this person. But I do think, as I mentioned earlier, that our problem is that this last guy, even though I could, okay, fine, he's probably stronger than like, you know, like than one of the lions, right? But he really doesn't come off as, but he really comes off as weaker than. But he definitely, I would say, comes off weaker as like a group of lions, right? Like he's. Nah, I'm just talking in circles now. Yeah, I'm saying the same thing. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so I mean, the fight is good. It's very well animated, right? It's very animated. Otherwise, though, you know, it was cute. You know, Bishonen guys all like, oh, young guy, your horse. That was fun. And she stepped on him. Yeah, I heard you're a player. Yeah, don't touch me. Yeah, she's like. Steps on him, like step on his foot and like, get off me, boy. I know what kind of boy you are. And that was really cute, yeah. And she's like, you know, get off me, yeah. I know what a boy you are. He's kind of Bichon and pretty boy. So that was fun. That was probably my favorite scene. He's like, get off. You slept with my sister last week. You know, it's kind of like that, right? Yeah. I know what you did to my friend. You know, like I heard rumors about you, pretty boy. He definitely has the kind of personality when the girls are like, it works for him until like an extent, but now he has like probably a bad. He probably got a bad rep now, right? After a few weeks of like, you know, smashing all the, they're like, no, I know about you now, pretty boy. But after that scene, though, I kind of liked how he provoked him, though. Yeah, it was like, oh, you wanna, you know, you look at my speed. But at the same time, as I mentioned in the reaction part, this thing, this is a Beastars thing, right? But I always find that it's just hard to kind of grasp the thing in reality. I think that is kind of a suspension of disbelief thing because, I mean, sure. I mean, I didn't go to the cops or, you know, went to whatever school when I was in all these fights when I grew up. Of course you weren't. You're not some snitch. You just fought them yourself, right? Yeah, you just fought them yourself, right? You didn't. But it's a different thing between being like, oh, this guy's gonna eat me or fight me, yeah. It's a different thing when the guy's like, I'm gonna eat you tomorrow. I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I should go to the cops. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different thing if he's like, I'm gonna eat you. No, but I do find that whole thing, I said earlier, yeah. It's a little bit, in my opinion, right? A little bit suspicious is believed to the max that I'm gonna believe that they just are never, right? They're never gonna actually like talk to anybody. He's gonna fight him and he's threatening to like eat him and, you know, yeah, and it's like, oh, we're never gonna do anything about it though. We're just gonna like fight him or, you know, he gets into, you know, get into his finger here and he doesn't tell, I mean, he tells of course Legacy, but he doesn't tell anyone else. And so on, right, and of course Legacy already knew anyway was threatening. But as I mentioned earlier, like I have seriously had it in my life at least, where, you know, I have some issues with people, right? And I told like my brother, I was like, man, if someone kills me, if someone says that to me, this is probably this guy. You know, tell the cops it's probably this person, right? Like, am I the only one having that kind of life? Come on, you must have that life too. No, but you know what I mean. Like, if someone threatened me, I would be like, okay, this guy, I'd probably tell someone about it. But also, just generally, like, if something happens to me, this is the guy, right? Definitely. And this is a short life story here. But this actually reminded me of something that happened to me at grad school. It was really kind of weird in grad school. I had this unfortunate misfortune of working with someone, you know, forced by the school, right? So you know how this short life story. But first of all, I was in grad school, right? And you know how this you have some kind of group project. We were this is in grad school, right? So this is now an old boy, right? I'm in grad school. And we're gonna develop this, how say it? We're gonna develop this product that's kind of half developed already, and we were also, it was focused on like selling it. We're gonna sell it to like schools and different other stuff, and also this interactive product that we could like for children or people too, but for children and so on. It was like this object. But anyway, to talk about the actual product here. So I worked with that with a few people, right? And you know how school is, they kind of assign you. So it was me and another guy which I knew, and you know we went together with that. Then you know how this kind of, oh, we also have to work with this guy, you know, and the school like assigns someone to you, right? Oh, you have to also be with this guy, right? And so on. So we had two other guys. They were very, let's just say, it's very ineffective, yeah, very bad at their job, right? Again, you would think this would be gone in grad school because at least then they have like a bachelor degree or something or more, and they should be like in the 20s at least, right? And probably be more, you know, mature, but no. Unfortunately, of course, then you get to real life out in the business world. You also realize people are still pretty useless even in business, so no surprise there. But anyway, so we had this one guy. He was the worst guy in the group then. There was two guys who were really bad, don't get me wrong, but we had one guy again, and I didn't know him before this class. He was like again assigned to our group, to our project by, you know, the professor, right? Yeah, we got ahead. Oh, take this guy. Like, I don't want this guy. Take him because he has no friends, right? Yeah, basically, right? So we get this guy. And he was a really big guy too. I'm a big guy too, right? So I'm pretty tall and pretty big. He's probably smaller than me, I guess, because I'm a fat guy. But he's a big guy though. He's easily 100 kilograms, probably more than that. But I weigh 130 kilograms. So, but yeah, in that sense, though, I'm not, you know, a tiny goat guy. But still, he was really weird, and he didn't like do much right. He didn't like, you know, come on time on meetings. He didn't like write his He didn't like produce stuff. He didn't, and so on. I have to much details here. But basically, we were kind of like, let's just kick off this guy, right? Basically, because of course you do this in grad school, and in that sense, grading doesn't matter so much because it's more about what you do, right? And you want to do something for get an easier job or whatever, right? Do some cool projects, you can get a job, right, or something like that, or maybe write a paper, or but still though, it's kind of like if you're only like 5 members and we do this thing, the professor is probably going to be more lenient if it was like 6 members and we do this thing, right? Because this guy says it's better to get rid of the useless people, right? It was big. But anyway, so we were kind of talking about that and so on, right? And we got him warned and so on, right? Because he was like, it's pointless. And then I'm sitting at this kind of the backstory, of course it's more detailed, but it's kind of the other backstory. So I'm sitting at school after class with my laptop, and I was writing on some paper, writing on some stuff we're doing for this research thing, and suddenly I just like hear this heavy breathing behind me, and it's like just like really heavy breathing, and you know how you can feel someone behind you, right? And I'm just like, okay, and I kind of stand there and get the kind of I sit down, right? So I'm sitting down still, but I get this kind of shocked Pikachu face. I'm like, huh? What's behind me? Because it's a really weird. I was like sitting here writing and like, who was behind me? And I hear like, and they're not saying anything. It's like behind me, standing just behind me. It's maybe like a centimeter behind me, just behind my back. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? And I just keep writing, and I don't say anything, right? And this guy, he stands behind me, probably for like 3-4 minutes. Seriously, he just stands there behind me. He's like, just breathes heavily behind me for at least 3 minutes, probably more. And eventually, I'm just like, what the f is this, right? And I guess it's this person, because he's a very weird person, and I'm guessing it's him, right, trying to whatever intimidate me or whatever, right? And he's a big guy, as I mentioned. He's a big guy, kind of like this sitting here. And I'm sitting down, right? So he comes behind me, breathes this heavily, like, stands there, doesn't say anything, right? But eventually, after like 3-4 minutes, then I'm just like, okay, what is this, right? So I kind of just like jump up, right? Kind of push me up from the, and I turn around. Of course, it's him, right? I kind of felt that I read it right, who has to be in the context, right? And I just stare him down, basically. Yeah, it's like a really weird thing. But that's kind of the weird thing too, I think, in that situation, because. Yeah, I don't know. He was like intimidating me, whatever, trying to do it right. Of course, it didn't work. I supported him again, right, to the teacher, so when he got kicked out, so it didn't work at all. But that thing was kind of funny too, because I was sitting down, right? We kind of had this moment, because I'm sitting, so he's, of course, pretty tall, right? He's about my height and so on. He's quite a big guy, right? Probably taller than me, but, roughly my height, little height, probably. But because I'm sitting down, of course, his torso is kind of in my back and so on, right? Because, he's standing up behind me. But when I'm standing up, right, I'm probably roughly his height, and also probably, I'm bigger I'm bigger in generally. So it was like a weird scene to me, because he stands behind me, I guess, trying to intimidate me, right? But when I stand up, right, and I just tell him like, okay, what do you want, man? I'm like, what do you want, right? What do you want? And I just like, I kind of buff up, at him, right? And it felt like there's like a really weird moment in my life too in that sense, because it felt like he realized too, wait a minute, this guy's actually bigger than me probably. So, yeah, that's like a weird thing, because when I stood up then, and I turned around, and I was like, oh, you wanna go? And he's like, actually, wait a minute, you're bigger than me? I was like, yeah, like, we're about the same height, but I'm probably more, muscular and more, more abs or whatever, yeah, more width, my wingspan is bigger than his, right? So I was like, yeah, don't you know that? You met me before, yeah, like, I was sitting down there, but now I'm standing up, I'm bigger than you. And then he backed off, yeah, that's like, wait a minute. Then he kind of backed off, and I was like, wait a minute. So I had an advantage there, I guess, that he come behind me like this senior and threatening me, but then it didn't really work out. When I was like, stood up, I was like, actually, I'm bigger than you, man, so we're roughly the same size, man. But I also been a lot of fights in my life, so let's go, right? But it was a really weird thing. But it really reminded me of that scene, because he kind of, come up behind me, just like really, really in tight, and kind of almost, breathed on me, really weird. But at least he got kicked out. Yeah, I already reported him earlier for doing any work or so on, right? That's why he's angry, right? And now after this thing again, I just went to the professor. Was like, oh, this guy threatened me, yeah, like this. Yeah, and then he got kicked out of that course at least. He, unfortunately, as usually, how school is, even at grad school, he didn't get kicked out of the school, right? But he just had to get kicked out of that specific course. So he lost that course points or whatever, right? And didn't have to work with him anymore, which was good. But yeah, I didn't get out of school for him. He was gonna get kicked out of that specific course, which is always something, right? But yeah, school, right? No, yeah, it's like a classic school story. It's like, oh, I got this classmate that I had to work. It's also a thing, right? And I think it's funny, even at like grad school, it's still just like, oh, I had this, classmate that I had to work with, and this person was just so bad that they were really incompetent, or this thing, and they would never go in time, It's always like that thing, right? Like you have that experience from your first grade, you're 7, 6-year-old, right? Or you're 5, up to you like 25. Yeah, the exact same thing. It's always like you get that person, you're like, oh. But trust me, though, when I say to people all the time, to people that sit young, so unfortunately, when you get out of university or whatever, right, or school, high school, whatever, when you get to real life too, you start working, not to be that guy, but I'm that guy. Holy shit, man. I never worked at a company in my life, and I've been at many different companies in my life, right? Mostly game companies, but also IT companies, right? And I've never worked at a company in my life where I felt that, well, everyone here is very competent. It's like there's always a few people, they're like, holy shit, man, this person knows nothing. Yeah, you're like, how can they even get dressed every morning? I have many stories about that, right? But it's for hours. But that is, I mean, it's just so funny, right? Because I say it again here, I think every year in my life, when I was like 5, I'm like, oh, not this person. Oh, she's so annoying. And then next year, like, oh, he's this guy, he's so stupid. Oh man, he can't do shit. And then 3 years later, when you're like in middle school, high school, you're like, oh no, not this person in my history group. Oh, they don't know anything about history. Oh, it's gonna be so. I have to write everything, right? And then you go to senior high school, and you're like, oh, not this person. Oh, she knows nothing about math. Oh, she's so bad at math, right? It's gonna be so annoying about this thing or this code, whatever. You know what I mean? And then it's every time, and then you get to college, you're like, well, here at least, everyone's like 18, 20, right? Here it has to be, if I get like a 7, 8, group members, everyone is probably gonna be good. No, it's still the same shit. It's unfortunately still the same shit, right? But it's a lot of psychology behind that, or math behind that. You can calculate and be like, it's like 20% of the people do 8% of the work, right? And it's really true, because you're like, I mean, tell you guys, every time I had, even at grad school, right? Every time I like this team with this big guy, yeah, and he's a really big guy, so yeah. Every time you had a group, assignment, you have to be in a group, right? And you could, except if you could pick your whole group, right? Sometimes you could just pick your whole group. The thing right there, when you get to pick all your 5, 6 members, and you're like, wow, I can pick all my 5 best people. Then it works fine usually, right? Yeah, it might take some different fight anyway, but then you pick people that you trust and they're competent and so on, yeah. But every time the school, it's like even in grad school when they're like, or even even when I did some PhD stuff too, and they were like, hey, here's people you have to work with. These random people, you don't know, like, oh, this guy, I can feel immediately he's gonna be useless. It's always like Jesus Christ. And then when you get out of school, it works the same thing though. And it really isn't even, it's the same percentage still probably. But anyway, that guy was really similar, this scene. That experience I had, it was very similar. He challenged behind me, he breathed at me heavily, and tried to threaten me. And then I want to turn around, and I stood up. He was still kind of threatening, but I was like, "Oh, you want to go?" The thing is that I find it kind of funny because I had that experience. I shouldn't be this wrong, but I said people immediately here. It has because I'm a big guy with a lot of martial experience. But I had experience that fit into my life, right? And people are trying to intimidate me, right? Trying to threaten me, right? At work and so on too, and they're trying to buff up, right? They're like, "Oh man, you're gonna fight me," that kind of way. But every time what I do them, and it's offer for me is that I just go maximum offense, right? Yeah, not actually physically, but like when someone tries to me like this guy, working in college, grad school, I used to turn around and be like, oh, you wanna fight me? Let's go then. Like, yeah, oh, you wanna fight? I used to go like in that way, right? Because people talk about words, right? They're like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing to you, and I'm like, okay, do what? Tell me exactly. I can do it to you 10 times worse. They're like, no, I'm gonna, I go with me. Oh, I'm gonna do this to you. Yeah, I used to twist it around, right? And then every time you see that, people get afraid of you, right? And they actually, run away like chickens, right? Because the thing is, this probably, I would say, is if anyone actually is gonna do X to you, they will just do it. Like, why would anyone warn you? See what I mean? That's in my brain. I'm like, why would you warn me for that? Like, oh, you can break my arm? You just do it. Why would you warn me, right? You see what I mean? Some of us is like, oh, you wanna go? Let's go then, right? Some of us is gonna, I just amp it up, right? And then people are always like, oh shit, no, actually, I don't want to go. I want to pretend to go. Oh, I see, yeah, but I want to go now, And then they're like, oh yeah. So that's always been my resolve to do it, right? And then people kind of get, oh yeah. So that's maybe not the best recommendation, but it usually works for me at least, because people then get these kind of people, right, in real life, like acting at the kuma in real life, right? When you actually challenge them, right, on their intimidation, they usually get afraid because they don't actually want to commit to that kind of intimidation, right? Yeah, but that's kind of what I mean. Of course, it's context matter to read the situation, right? But usually, I would say 9 out of 10 times at least, the people doing this kind of intimidation is because they can't actually commit to it, right? So they're like, oh, you want to do this? You want to go? So then they're like, oh no. But anyway, long life story there. But it really reminded me of that because it was very similar and kind of creepy too. Because he stood behind me, he just breathed on me for like 3-4 minutes. It was a little weird. And I mean, he only stopped because I was like, what are you doing? Because I was like, I just jumped up and I was like, turned around, like, what are you doing? Yeah, and I just like, kind of pushed him away, kind of, yeah. I didn't touch it, but I was like, I was like, and then he was like, oh yeah. So otherwise, he probably would have stopped, right? So it was really weird, too. But really weird person, really weird person. He also threatened the teacher later. Yeah, that was really weird. That was weird. This story is longer, but so after I then, this is the only point, my point here, but after I again then went to tell the professor and this assistant professor about this as well, then she then went and talked to him, afterwards on the same day or something. And then he threatened her, and he was like, "I'm gonna beat you up to the professor." So that was not the best strategy. He was like, "Okay, I'm gonna threaten the professor." Not the best strategy, not the best strategy. But it was really weird. Again, unfortunately, that he just got after the course, right? They didn't give him to school, even if he so ridiculous. Oh, so goddamn, But anyway, guys, that's a live story I threw out there. Subscribe, like button, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the course. More anime and all the live stories. No, but like it's a reminder of that weird experience I had. That's all. I've been in some weird stuff during course grad school. That's one of the weirdest. Just because he's kind of, and also why that guy's behavior. He was like 26 or so, and he's like, why would that work on me, right? I was like a 5-year-old. It's really weird. But anyway, see you guys and have a great day.